All right, everybody, welcome back. If you guys missed the last video on Terriblis Studio, I'm Nick Popov. I've been in Unreal for a couple months now, and if you're here, a big problem that you're probably seeing is that it is tough to animate one of the greatest assets we as Unreal Engine creators have, which is the metahumans. So I took some time and tried to find some ways around this in order to add animations to metahumans because it's obviously been done before. We've seen it with Love, Death, and Robots. We've seen it with various other shows. We've seen it with shorts on YouTube. People are starting to use them all the time, and it's still just as difficult to animate them now as it was before. However, with Terriblis Studio, there is a way to add Mixamo animations to metahumans for small projects, for base clips. If you just need like some basic shots of maybe like a head turn or something like that, you can use Mixamo animations in order to get those shots without having to go through the custom animation process and the mocap process. So before we get started, I will say that I have made a video on Terriblis Studio before. Those of you who've watched that video understand now that there is a new version, which is what we will be going over today, version 2.4. And if you followed that video, you know that you should have automatically gotten an update for this new version. When you open Mixamo Converter, you should have gotten an automatic update prompt saying that you cannot continue unless you update. So that's how you could get this new version. If you are seeing this video for the first time, I will leave a link in the description to where you can go download Terriblis Studio, but I'm going to completely skip that part because it is literally basic information. You really shouldn't be here if you don't know how to extract a zip file. So that's pretty much all we're going to do. Once you get the zip file, like the Mixamo Converter zip, you should get this right here. Just put it in a place where you can find it, somewhere comfortable, somewhere where your programs are, and just extract it. And inside that folder, you're going to have this. So from the last video, when we looked into our mannequins folder, we only had one mannequin, just the UE4 mannequin skeleton. Now, interestingly enough, we've got like, I believe five here? Yeah, 5 different mannequins. This is the one that we used last video, and this is the one that we will be using for this video. But I did want to make a note to everybody that there are different versions of the mannequins here, and I don't actually know what the purpose of this is. I will be sending this video to Terriblis Studio as well, so hopefully they can confirm what this is for in the comments of these videos. Alright, so I actually did end up reaching out to Terriblis Studio, and I got a reply from them as to what these mannequins are for, and essentially it's not as long or as detailed of a process as I previously made it out to be. All it means, all these new mannequins are for, are basically to keep up with the UE5 standards and the UE5 systems, because originally UE4 only had the Manny mannequin skeleton that we're using in this video, as well as I believe one other one, but with the release of UE5, they had released 2 new characters, such as the Manny and Quinn skeletons that have like a metacarpal bone as well as a longer spine, some additional twist bones and auxiliary stuff. So the inclusion of those mannequins was simply just to keep up with UE standards and allow us as users an option to use those mannequins in the exact same process that we're following today. But as a note, in my experience, if we follow the exact same process we're doing today with the Manny and Quinn skeletons, like I mentioned, in my experience, it doesn't turn out the same. So I think there's a little bit of a different process here, which maybe I'll go over in the future. But for you guys and your understanding, the Manny and Quinn skeletons are basically to just keep up with the UE5 standards and are used for UE5 specific projects. So by all means, feel free to try the other ones after you've successfully done it once. And then we can, I guess, test and see which ones work. But for today, we're just going to be using the SK mannequin. So the reason why you even need a converter like this is in Unreal Engine 5, the metahumans are missing, I believe it's something like this. Basically, in one of the mannequins, they're missing a root bone and a few other bones. So what this converter does is it basically adds those bones to the animation so that you can then add it to your metahumans, because metahumans have obviously a lot more bones than the UE4, whatever UE5 mannequins have. So basically what it does is it takes the base skeletons, retargets them, adds all the bones that it needs in order to work for a metahuman, then you just add it to the metahuman. So it's actually a pretty basic process as long as you follow very carefully. So what we're going to do, you're going to need to go to Mixamo and make sure you're logged in with your account. And it doesn't matter what you have right here right now because we're about to change it. So the first thing you do once you're logged into Mixamo, you're going to upload a character. Go back to our Mixamo 3 folder or whatever Mixamo folder that you just downloaded, and we're going to take, again, this official man Unreal Engine 4 mannequin, the SK mannequin. Just drag and drop it in. Let Mixamo do its thing. Alright, now that that's done, we are going to come back into Mixamo. So now we have to make sure you got your SK mannequin loaded, the exact one. So you will see that this mannequin, it really does look exactly like the UE4 mannequin, because it pretty much is, but like I said, it's got a couple extra bones in there that'll make the transition process a little bit easier. So I am actually going to download, let's see what animation we want. Sure, we'll use this one, whatever, something simple. Well, a little excited there, huh? We'll make this longer. So if you've never used Mixamo, Mixamo is a database that has animations that can be used basically anywhere. It's been very popular for the last few years. It's been a very good way to get animations into your projects, but now as we're moving more into AI, they actually have, it's pretty crazy, they have text-to-motion prompts now that allow you to generate AI-created animations and movement that they're working to make as downloadable animated files that you can then basically add to any character just like you would with Mixamo. So it's likely that very soon this method will be obsolete, but for the time being, this is not a bad way to go about getting some basic animations. But again, if you never used Mixamo, there's some basic stuff here. You can make your frames longer, you can increase the arm space if you want, make it a little wider. Yeah, I mean, this is like the easy solution to clipping. Is just increasing the arm space. You can make it go faster, you can make it go shorter. We're just going to leave it the same. Doesn't really matter. But this is the important part. When you download, make sure you click without skin. That's literally the only important part. You don't have to click anything else. But for my project settings, I'm just going to do 24 FPS. You can leave it at 60, 30, whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. But just note that 24 frames per second is typically what films are shot in. So if you're going for a more filmic look, 24 frames per second is going to be the way to go. Just hit download. Very simple. Nothing too complicated here. Alright, once that's downloaded, you can close out of that, open up your downloads folder, and have your Mixamo folder open as well. We're going to come back to your Mixamo folder, and then you're going to want to come to this incoming FBX folder in here. So I've got an animation in here already that I'm just going to delete. I'm going to do the same thing in my outgoing folder since I just don't really need this. And then we're going to drag and drop this into our incoming folder. And that's it. And then we're going to open Mixamo Converter, which I already have it open. And here's where we're actually going to go through this a little bit and talk. So here's the original video I did that was on Terriblis Studio. And again, it's essentially the same process we're doing here, which is, I guess, a good thing. But at the same time, I am curious. So hopefully if Terriblis Studio does see this, I would like to hopefully have a discussion with them, get some information about at least what these additional mannequins are for, as well as what the plans are for animating in the future. If we're planning on getting converters, like I said, for Plask AI or other AI methods that would allow us to add it to metahumans, because that would essentially be the end game. If you can add mocap data without even needing to mocap, that's pretty insane. So that's kind of the method that I'm looking to do after this video, but while we're here, that's not what we're for. So here for. So let's just scroll down. We're gonna go to oh yes, enter the conversion process on the right here. Just ignore all this. This is kind of like your help for what these are for. So again, like we have all of our different mannequins, which is fine. Here's some of your Mixamo characters. So this is what it was generally for, is having the skeletons for the Mixamo characters. But this is what we're tackling now, metahuman characters. Let's refresh. Oops. Go back here. All right. So here's the important part. The only thing you have to change here is just add a 5 at the end of this. That's literally it. You should see the animation that we imported into our incoming folder here. this just opens this folder. This is just to name it. And then once we're done with that, once we've got everything set up, just click convert. And that's it. Here we go. We can close out of this now. That's all we need there. Now you're going to want to open up your Unreal Engine project. So this is a project I've been working on for a YouTuber actually, which I'm very excited to release in a few months, hopefully. But again, not what we're here for. So what you are going to want to do is, this is a very massive project, so I guess my point in saying that is make sure that you have your stuff organized. Make sure that you have a separate folder for your animations and that you know where everything is, because that's really critical to getting a project done, not just in a timely way, but in a very neat, organized way. Just organize your stuff. What we're going to do is, I usually create a MetaHuman folder and a Mannequin folder, because what we have to do is we are going to take, we are going to take from the outgoing folder the animation that we just converted in a Mixamo converter. We're going to drag and drop that into our Unreal project. And now, this is the most important part. Everything else can stay the same, but make sure that we are clicking UE4 Mannequin Skeleton. Now, you're not going to have this right now, and I'm realizing that I completely missed a step, but I'm doing this all in one take. So before we get going, I will show you guys how to get this UE4 Mannequin Skeleton. All you have to do is open up your Epic Games Store, go to Marketplace, look up Animation Starter Pack, and it's this one right here. It's free, so don't need to worry. It's not going to cost you anything. All you want to do is download this and add it to whatever project you're working on. The reason why we're doing that is because we are taking, so this SK Mannequin that we use over here, this one right here, is essentially the exact same as this mannequin, except it has different bones to it, I believe. So what we're going to do is we're taking this animation, this one right here, we're adding it to this mannequin, exporting it from this mannequin, and then re-importing it onto our MetaHuman. So once you have this project added to whatever your project you're working on, wherever you're trying to do this MetaHuman animation, you're just going to want to import and export the UE4 mannequin that comes with that pack. I believe it's labeled, it should be in there, but the skeleton for that mannequin is going to be this one, UE4 Mannequin Skeleton. So once that's all done, just select that, go ahead and hit import all. Oh, I imported it in the wrong place. I'm going to move this over. Okay. So where is it? Here it is. Alright, so looks good. No issues. The bone motion looks good. He's not clipping or anything, not being stuck or like hand held by the brute. So that's good. That works. Now all we're gonna do, gonna take this, go to Asset Actions, Export, and then put it somewhere where you're gonna be able to find it. I would put it, I'm just gonna throw it in here. But the important thing you do is, again, make sure you label everything, especially if you're making a big project with MetaHuman animations. You're gonna want to separate your animations from each other, the mannequin animations and the MetaHuman animations, because essentially with this process you're going to have 2 files of each animation, 3 actually, the original downloaded one, the one that's converted, and then the one that's exported from UE and then re-imported as a MetaHuman animation. So technically you're going to have 3 different animation files with this method, so it's extremely important to make sure that you name them, because even though they're all the same and essentially do the same thing, there's differences into the skeletons in each animation. So once you do that, just go ahead and click save. I'll export it, find that folder, whoops, here it is, Happy Idle. Go back to your animation folder, MetaHumans, drag and drop this in, and then here the most important part obviously is once your MetaHuman's in the scene, you're going to want to click MetaHuman base skeleton. So I've got 2 of them in here. One of them is for the crowd and one of them is for MetaHuman. Alright, make sure you're clicking the actual MetaHuman base skeleton, then just import. Done. Alright, we can add our actored sequencer. I already have it added in here, so I'm not going to to do that, but we can add this animation at the end over here just to see if it works. Happy. All right, and there we go. So you can see that he's moving around. Let me get, can I get out of the camera? Yeah. All right, so you can see he's moving around. It looks good. I mean, it's a little wonky, obviously, because like the metahumans are supposed to have much more fluid animation in order to look real. Like the metahuman animations aren't really, I'm sorry, the Mixamo animations aren't really meant for metahumans. They're more made for like background characters and stuff. So I wouldn't be using this method as like the be-all and the end-all of animation. It's still important to find other ways to add mocap, and I'm trying to do that because that's the solution I need for this project. But one thing that you guys are gonna see when you add this in is yours will not look like mine right away. The reason that mine looks perfect right away is because I had already done some changes to my skeleton model. So what you guys should be seeing when you add your animation is a lot of stretching, and it should look really weird, like something straight out of Shrek or something. So what you're going to want to do to fix that, you're going to want to find, like, click on your metahuman, click on the body, then we're going to go, where is it? We're going to search for this, double click on it. Then we're going to go to skeleton. We're going to go to character, bones, all hierarchy, so we can see everything. Then we're going to go over here, click show retargeting options, and here's the part that you're going to want to change. So yours is going to look much different than this, but all you have to do, select the spine, go all the way down, select everything else. So just the spine, starting from the spine down, so leave the root and the pelvis, everything other than the root and the pelvis, select it all, right click, recursively set translation retargeting skeleton. That's it. Hit save. Done. Should be working now. So that's literally the whole process. For those of you who have seen the video before, it's literally exactly the same. I don't know if there's any new things planning on being added into the Charybdis Studio Converter, because like I said, I do believe that this is a method that will be outdated very quickly. Mixamo has been an excellent resource in the past, but I don't see it being used much more in the future, especially as we get deeper and deeper into AI and using AI or leveraging it better for Unreal and better for programs like Blender and Houdini and all these VFX programs. The rate that that industry is heading is absolutely unprecedented. Sorry, I'm a little sick today. And I would say it's almost like heading into exponential growth if it has not hit that already. So in a very short amount of time, it's likely that this technique that I'm showing you guys is going to be outdated, and realistically there's not that much you could do with this just given the limited resources that Mixamo has in terms of animations. I don't remember the last time I saw them add something new for animations. Like all your basic stuff, honestly, if Mixamo could add basic motions, like I know there's only one variation of walking, right? Like if we could have at least 8 variations of a walking animation, and have that same idea apply for other basic movements that people do on a day-to-day basis, kind of like just waving your hands around, things like that, just conversing, you know, animations like that. If they were to do something like that, then I could totally see this method still being somewhat useful. But like I said, this is more for your kind of small cuts. Like for example, there's a Mixamo animation where, like the one I'm using here, where he's sitting and just kind of looking around. Like the entire animation is literally just this. He's just sitting here looking around, but it's actually, you know, like it looks pretty good, right? It's not horrible. It's not bad. Add a little live link to the face and, you know, you got a pretty good shot here. But the thing is, what you can do with something like this, right, is I'm planning on doing a time lapse. So we got a little bit of a vertigo effect coming in here. There's going to be lots of lights and colors coming through. So this motion is natural enough. We're having him sit there and just kind of look around. In a time lapse, that's going to look natural. So using Mixamo animations conscientiously and creatively is what's really going to give you the greatest value in a method like this, but I would not necessarily rely on Mixamo animations in general as your primary animation base, because most seasoned veterans know when like they can spot a Mixamo animation from a mile away. That's one. Two, like I mentioned, they're really not all that high quality. They're almost a little bit too flamboyant in the way that like they have way too many dances, not enough regular motion. So again, with all that stuff out of the way, this is pretty much all you need to do in order to get your Mixamo animations working. And the best thing about this, as I mentioned previously, the reason why I didn't have an issue like you guys did is because once you do that recursively setting retargeting skeleton on one skeleton, like if I were to do it on this character, since I already did it once, every time I drag and drop him in the scene, even if it's a new version of him, it won't matter. The Mixamo animations will work. So you only need to do that retargeting skeleton part for each new metahuman. So if we were doing this entire process, adding this exact same animation for an additional metahuman, like separate from this one, then we would have to retarget skeleton once again. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty much the whole video. One take one, turned out great. Hope you guys enjoyed. If there's any questions, please, by all means, feel free to comment. Like, I'm usually pretty quick to respond to the comments. So if there's something that you guys noticed, or if there's something you had in mind, or a different technique or a different method you've heard of, please let me know, because I'm looking for ways to expand on this idea, because this really is a basic way of animating metahumans. But nobody really explains how to do it effectively and well. So, but hopefully I'll be back with a solution for that in a few weeks. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.